is your name, please?
My name is the Duke of Bedford.
What is your name, please?
My name is the Duke of Bedford.
What is your name, please?
My name is the Duke of Bedford.
Two of these people are imposters. Only one is the real Duke of Bedford and is the only one sworn to tell the truth.
Geritol, America's #1 tonic. Geritol, the fast-acting, high-potency tonic that helps you feel stronger fast, presents To Tell the Truth.
And here is our host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. Welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Now I'd like to introduce our panel. What is your name, please?
My name is Donna Wynter.
Oh, I must spell my name?
Yes, please.
My name is Hans Conried. I'd almost forgotten for a moment.
My name is Kitty Carlisle.
And my name is Gardner.
Hans,
I told you I cannot appear on an unrehearsed show.
I just want to say it's good to have you back.
Thank you, Bud.
And wonderful to welcome you with us again, too, Donna.
Thank you.
What have you been doing?
Oh, I just finished a picture for Jerry Wald called In Love and War.
Ah, 20th Century Fox, isn't it?
Yes.
When will we be seeing that? Pretty soon?
Probably around Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh. Well, it's sure good to welcome you both back with us, and now that we know who all of us are, these three gentlemen, as you heard, all claim to be the Duke of Bedford. Now, only one, of course, is the real Duke of Bedford. The other two have merely assumed his identity, and they do not have to stick to the truth. Panel, as is customary, you will find copies of affidavits. In front of you, will you please find this one and follow along with your copy while I read from the original. I, John Robert Russell, am the 13th Duke of Bedford. I am also Lord Howland of Stretton, Baron Russell of Chenies, Earl of Bedford, and the Marquis of Tavistock. When my father, the 12th Duke, died, I found that I owed the British government nearly $15 million in taxes. I decided to open Woburn Abbey, our ancestral home for nearly 300 years, to the public. I turned the 3,000 acres surrounding the abbey into a zoo and park for the visitors. In 4 years, more than 1 million people have paid admission to the park and to the 60-room mansion, which has been called one of the finest examples of the stately homes of England. I am in the United States planning a lecture tour. I will talk on running a stately home and the future of the British peerage. Signed, Bedford. Very well, panel, you heard these three gentlemen all claim to be the Duke of Bedford. Now, only the real Duke of Bedford is required to answer your questions truthfully. You will each question until you hear this signal, and at the end of the questioning period, you will be asked to cast your vote for the one who, in your opinion, is the real Duke of Bedford. And may we start tonight with Hans Conried. Hans?
Your Grace, #1. Did I not read recently in the papers of a rather unusual convention being held on your place?
Yes, we had a nudists convention there.
You've done that? You permitted them to wander all over the...
put them in a wooded area where the bison roam.
How cozy. Your Grace, #2, sir. Which schools did you attend, please?
I never went to school at all.
Oh, indeed. Well, that eliminates all these questions that I had prepared. You served in a regiment during the war?
In the Coldstream Guards.
In the Coldstream Guards. Can you tell me briefly, sir, the distinguishing differences of the buttons on the tunics of the Guards?
Haven't a clue.
Not at all? Your Coldstream, do you recall the arrangement of the buttons on the tunic? You don't.
Kitty?
Sorry.
Who? Which one? 3?
I've
You asked
not
me?
yet
Oh, you didn't get
approached
the
this
3.
third
I
gentleman,
see.
no.
#1, could you tell me who's entitled to wear strawberry leaves, a baron, an earl, or a duke?
A duke is entitled to wear strawberry leaves, and a marquis.
And what about an earl?
An earl has a different arrangement on the coronet, balls on spikes.
#2, most noble families have a slogan or a motto. What is yours?
Que sera, sera.
In what key?
Nothing I can see.
Number 3, who is the premier Duke of England?
The Duke of Norfolk.
Number 1, how many women were admitted to the House of Lords?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Hi, Gardner.
Number 1, you said a few moments ago that you ran a convention of nudists. Were they all people who owed the government money and taxes?
They were entitled to wear strawberry leaves or fig leaves, either one.
Number 1, what is the name of the famous RAF hero who now runs one of London's the greatest newspapers?
You don't mean Douglas Bader?
Number 2, would you know?
No.
Number 3?
I think I'd say Douglas Bader, yes.
Uh-huh. Number 2, is there a pool or a lake on the grounds of Buckingham Palace?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Safest answer I ever heard.
There is what?
There's a lake.
There's a lake. The number 1, what is the name of the man who runs a popular London pub called Ziggy's? Would you know number 2?
No.
Number 3?
No, I don't.
Donna?
Number 3. It says here that you're to lecture on the future of the British peerage. May I ask, in a nutshell, what is the future of the British peerage?
Well, Miss Winters, I suggest if you want to know the answer to that question, you come and hear my lectures.
Fair enough. Number 2, is Petersham within 10 or 100 miles of Woburn Abbey?
10,000, as far as I know. I never heard of it before.
Really?
No.
Number 1?
Well, Petersham is in Hampshire and Woburn Abbey is in Bedfordshire, and so that it would certainly not be 10 miles.
I guess that's about it. Time to vote for the first time tonight without consultation. Panel, will you kindly mark your ballots? And in so doing, you will, as usual, select number 1, number 2, or number 3. A team of challengers, of course, as usual, will receive $250 for every incorrect vote. All marked, panel? Donna, for whom did you vote?
Yes. Well, I voted for number 3, and I must say, in all honesty, I have to admit this, I know one of the members of the panel, so I only had 2 to choose between, and the way number 3's suit was made looks rather English to me.
All right, what about your selection, Hans?
I voted for number 3. I must dismiss the gentleman number 2 because I can't believe that a guards officer would know how the Coldstream buttons are arranged. And number 1, I felt knew too much about heraldry to turn his place over to the nudists.
Oh, it's funny.
All right, Kitty.
I voted for number 3 purely on the basis of his looks. I hope the Duke of Bedford looks like that.
And Hi, Gardner.
Well, I voted for number 2 because there is a lake. I saw it on the grounds of Buckingham Palace, and he had that answer. And secondly, he looks like somebody, if he met Zsa Zsa Gabor, he'd propose tomorrow. I don't know why he's
All right, there we have our votes and our reasons, and we trust that you're guessing along at home and having fun with us. Let's find out right now which one of these 3 distinguished gentlemen is the Duke of Bedford. So may I ask the real Duke of Bedford to please stand.
He didn't go to school. That's why he didn't know. He didn't go to school.
He was a
Someone
guardsman
else
and he
did
didn't have any buttons, you see?
Or someone else polished
Someone
them.
in the brigade had buttons. My lord, you've been remiss.
I was too lowly to know about those things. I was scrubbing floors.
Number 1, would you tell us who you really are and what you do, please, sir?
My name is Leonard Coulter. I am the bureau chief of a British publishing company in London, Autumn's Press.
Thank you, sir. I gather from the looks going back and forth that this is the gentleman you knew.
Yes, we're old chums.
Ah, yes. Well, good. Number 3, would you tell us who you are and what you do, please?
Yes, I am Bill Fleming Williams, and I'm the vice president of the Schweppes companies in Canada and the USA.
Well, we thank you very much, gentlemen. And by checking up on a bit of score here, we find that there were exactly... Oh, yes, you have a question,
I
Donna?
must ask, did the Duke have his suit made in America?
No, in England, but by a tailor who tailors for Americans.
See there?
And may I add one other thing, that I am wearing one of the Duke's suits.
Oh, you made it! Then they alike. They're made exactly
They are
alike.
made
The
alike,
seam at the
indeed.
side of the trousers,
Yes.
I thought they must be two American.
Well, I'm afraid we haven't any more time to discuss tailoring, but you have 3 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $750 from Geritol. Thank you very much, gentlemen. On the way out, you'll find someone there with an apothecary jar of Geritol for each of you. Good night and good luck.
Thank you.
And now, panel, let's meet our next group of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Jerry Spencer.
What is your name, please?
My name is Jerry Spencer.
What is your name, please?
My name is Jerry Spencer.
Panel, will you pay attention to your copies of this affidavit? I, Jerry Spencer, have been associated with harness racing all my life. My grandfather was a harness race driver for over 50 years, and my father was a driver for some 40 years. I myself have been training horses ever since I was 10 years old. I enjoy most, however, driving one of my own horses in harness racing competition. Signed, Jerry Spencer. Now, panel, in this round, we have 3 people all claiming to be Jerry Spencer, horse trainer and harness racing driver. We'll start this cross-examination with Hi Gardner. Hi.
Number 1, what is the name of the newest harness racing track here in New York State?
Monticello,
What is the city, number 1, nearest to Monticello?
New York.
Number 2, what is the city nearest to Monticello when you travel up?
It's Liberty.
What route is, do you reach Monticello to Liberty? Do you know number 3?
I would say Route 20.
What would you say, number 2?
I don't know.
Number 1?
Well, switching
Well,
around,
that's
you got
all
that
right.
first question for number 2.
Number 9.
Number 2, what are the colors of the Frank Taylor stables?
They're red and green.
Number 1, would you know?
I don't know.
Number 3, would you know?
I'm unfamiliar with that.
Number 3, who was Arthur Norden?
I'm unfamiliar with that also.
Number 1, do you know who Arthur Norden is?
No, I don't.
Number 1, who is, what has Steve Allen got to do with the Trotters?
He owns a horse.
Number 3, where did your father race 40 years ago?
He raced up in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Donna?
Number 2, what is a running martingale?
A running martingale is a horse that breaks out and runs away.
I see. Number 3, what's a running martingale?
That's when his horse's head will bob and run in a race, and you have to hold him down and it doesn't break out.
I see. Number 1, where does a horse have a splint?
Where does he have a splint? On his leg.
Hans?
Number 1, please. Now, this I will extend my entire knowledge at this point. What is tack?
Tag.
Tack.
Harness.
That's harness. Thank you. Now I'm going to be fishing now. That's it. Please, number 2, what is the difference between a pacer and a trotter?
A pacer is a horse that its front foot and its back foot on the same side go forward at the same time. A trotter is a horse who has a diagonal gait
Thank you.
and alternates.
Number 3, please. Would you use a lipizzaner in harness racing?
Excuse me.
Would you use
That would have been my reaction, too. Kitty?
Number 1, what do you feed a horse?
Oats, hay.
Number 2, what is a break?
A break is when a horse either goes into a gallop or it
Number 3,
becomes a
will
trot.
you tell me why
That's all the time we have. It's time to vote, no matter how important it is. So get on a different tack, and without consultation,
And 2
will
questions.
you mark your ballot and select, if you will, number 1, number 2, or number 3. All set? Donna, for whom did you vote this time?
Well, I know I'm wrong. I think it's either 1 or 3, and I say 3 because he knew about the martingale.
All right, what about your vote, Hans?
I would say number one, purely on a negative attitude of watching the young lady's smirk when her fellows answer.
A method we hadn't thought of. Kitty?
I said number 3. I didn't get a chance to ask him any questions, but I believe he knew a little bit more about the Martingale. I think that was correct.
Number one might have known.
An Elizabethan lady's underwear, I must tell you, to make
The
this
farthingale.
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 But I know they ran him, though.
Many times, no doubt. And hi, Gardner, please.
I also bet on number 1. She knew about Steve Allen and some of the other answers, and if I must lose at the track or elsewhere, I'd much rather do it on a blonde.
Very well, there we have it again now, just the way our panel lines up, and let's see whether they line up correctly or not as we discover which one of these people is the real horse trainer and harness racing driver. So we will now ask the real Jerry Spencer to please stand up.
Oh, dear.
Thank you very much. Number 2, would you tell us who you really are and what you do, please?
I'm a registered nurse and have just graduated from a jockey school.
What kind of a jockey?
A disc jockey.
Oh, wait a minute. I happened to ask what kind of a jockey, and she said a disc jockey. All right, I put my foot in that one. Number 3, who are you and what do you do?
Well, my name is Wayne Holling. I am a student at the Georgia Institute of Technology and am currently employed at Family Circle magazine.
Thank you, sir. Well, don't leave yet. Because we have to check up the score and tell you how well you did and how well the panel did. There were 2 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $500 from Geritol. Stop on the way, if you will, and pick up your apothecary jar of Geritol. My thanks to you all. Good night and good luck. And now let's meet our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Tommy Shu.
What is your name, please?
My name is Tommy Shu.
What is your name, please?
My name is Tommy Shu.
Very well, panel. After having had a look, will you please listen and follow along, if you will, with your copies of this final affidavit. I, Tommy Hsu, am a former lieutenant general in the Chinese Nationalist Army. For 2 years during World War II, I was in charge of Chinese troops protecting the Burma Road. Prior to that, while doing undercover work in Japanese-occupied Shanghai, I rescued and smuggled out of the country 12 American flyers who had been shot down in combat. For this, I was called to Washington and commended by the Air Force. I now own and operate the Green Lantern Chinese restaurant on Lexington Avenue here in New York. Signed, Tommy Hsu. These 3 members of this final group of challengers all claim to be Tommy Hsu, as you heard, panel, soldier, restaurateur. We'll start this round with Donna Wynter. Donna?
Number 1, may I ask you, who is Vinegar Joe?
He's in charge of the Burma Road. He's a general steward.
General Stewart. Do you agree with that, number 2?
Yes.
Number 3, what does chop suey mean in English?
What? It means hash, literally.
Literally. I see. Number 2, how do you buy your bamboo shoots? By the pound or by the bushel or what?
We buy by the can.
Do you agree with this blasphemy by the can?
Yeah, we come import from Formosa.
Oh. Yes. Number 3, what was the date of your visit to Washington when you received your citation?
It's in 45.
What's the exact date, sir?
Oh, May 11th.
Do you agree with that, number 1?
Yeah.
Number 2?
Yes.
I'm through.
Number 1, please. What was your native province in China?
Pardon me?
Which was your native province? Where were you born?
Shanghai, China.
In Shanghai. Well, then you spoke the Shanghai. Do you speak Guoyu, the national language?
Yeah.
As an officer. Do you speak any other dialect?
And only all the Chinese different dialects.
Number 2. Who was the Japanese military commander of Shanghai?
That's General Yamamoto.
Yamamoto. Can you remember, was he military commander throughout the entire war? Did he come in about...
Oh, no. It's just about 1942 to 43.
About 42 to 43. Please, number 3. In your restaurant business, how would you distinguish between the cooking of Shanghai and the cooking of Fujian or Peking or Canton? General differences of the style.
Very difficult to describe, I'm afraid. You have to taste to know the difference.
Very odd. Oh.
Number 1, is it true that chop suey is not known in China?
We never heard it before in China.
You never heard of it?
Never heard it.
It was invented in this country?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Number 2, our cook Nina makes wonderful egg foo young. How do you make it?
Well, the egg foo young is put the eggs and some bean straw and some other Chinese vegetable to cook together.
Uh-huh. Number 3, what American was credited with building the Burma Road? Do you know the name of an American?
I remember the name.
Connected with the Burma Road. Do you remember number 1?
No.
Do you number 2?
I think maybe some fellow called it Danny Austin or some name. I don't know.
Tell me, number 3, what relationship was Sun Yat-sen to Madame Trung?
The brother and sister.
Brother and sister. Number 1.
Hi. Number 1, how long has your Green Lantern restaurant been open? I've never been there.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Number 2, how long has your Green Lantern been?
Well, it's a little over 1 month.
Over 1 month. Number 2, does the name Matty or Don Simmons mean anything to you?
You mean, you ask me?
Yes, number 2.
What is your
Don or Matty Simmons. Know them?
No.
Do you know Don or Matty Simmons, number 1?
I heard it.
What do they do?
Yeah, the publicity man.
Uh-huh. Number 3,
That's all the time we have. I'm sorry to say, panel. Once
dear.
again, it's time to vote. This is getting interesting, so will you please mark your ballots for usual, number 1, number 2, or number 3. All set, Donna?
Yes.
For whom did you vote
dear.
this time?
I'll never be invited back. Well, I
Oh,
voted
yes, you
for-
will.
I voted for number 3 because he seemed least likely. Number 1 looked very well fed, and number 2 looked like a rescuer of people, so I chose number 3.
Sitting in that chair, you're sounding more like Polly all the time. Hans, what about your vote?
I voted for number 2, more or less on a guess, because he's about the right age, and his humor is such that he might be associated with good food.
What have you on that card?
Well, that's number 2.
Oh, it is?
My stroke is bad.
In
but-
Chinese?
Chinese too.
Really? Different dialect
Well, you
than
might
I'm
have asked
familiar
me to
with.
count up to 10 or even 100. I could have done that. I have difficulty in the 3 digits.
Kitty, what about your vote?
I voted for number 1. Number 2 had very good information, but I had the feeling that number 1 seemed to know more about the actual war.
And Highgard.
Well, I voted for number 1 because I don't think you'd hear about a publicity man named Simmons in the Burma Road. And secondly, I don't know, I like Buddy Hackett, and he looks a little bit like him.
Very well, there we have it again now, and whether we're right or wrong, we'll determine right this moment as we discover which one of these gentlemen is the real owner of the restaurant, erstwhile soldier, etc., and commended by the Air Force. So will the real Tommy Shoe please stand up?
Oh.
Thank you, sir, very much. Number 2, would you tell us who you are and what you do, please?
Yes. My name is Samuel Chin. I'm the president of China Artware Company, importers of Oriental jewelry.
Thank you, sir. And number 3, may I ask the same of you?
My name is Eugene Shen. I'm with the Secretariat of the United Nations.
Thank you. Hans, do you care to rattle off any dialect?
Oh, not with all these that they know.
Well, try one.
No, I
Pick
can
one.
barely order the simplest meal in the restaurants that I frequent most.
Do you always get what you order?
I get always what I want. Which is sometimes not what I order.
I see, but it's the most important thing. Well, checking up... A big pardon?
Oh, nice. This is scholarly.
Oh, it is, eh? All right. Well, that's all the time we have except to figure out who did what and how many dollars there are for you. And we find that there were 2 incorrect votes at $250 each for a total of $500 from Geritol. Thank you, gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed your visit. We did, and on your way out, you'll find your apothecary jar of Geritol. Good night and good luck. Now, in a moment, we'll join our panel again. Time goes too fast for me on this show. I imagine it does with you too, panel. And that's all the time we have for tonight, except to say to both you, Donna, and you, Hans, it's always a pleasure having you with us. Do come back soon, won't you?
Thank you very much.
And good luck with that new picture.
Thank you.
She'll certainly be looking for it. Next week, Polly will be back with us again, and Jackie Cooper will be sitting in at that time. I guess that's all the vital statistics, so good night, panel.
Good night, Bud.
Good night.
And now this is Bud Collier saying good night from Geritol and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.